When you think of the Amazon, what comes to mind? Probably this massive river winding its way through an even bigger jungle, right? But what if I told you that river is, well, it's just the start? Deep within its waters and buried right under its soil are secrets that are literally rewriting what we know about our own planet. So let's dive in and uncover them together.
I mean, just imagine a river that acts less like a river and more like a living thing. A river that changes its name depending on where you are, whose waters can be so different they refuse to mix, and that can even, in some places, flow backward. And what if, and this is the craziest part, it's been hiding another, even bigger river right underneath it this whole time?
Okay, to even begin to get your head around the Amazon, you have to start with its unbelievable scale. Just try to picture this. Every single second of every single day, this one river pumps 20% of all the fresh water that enters the world's oceans. That's a fifth of all the river water on the entire planet coming from this single colossal source. It's just staggering. It's so unbelievably vast that the people who live there just call it the River Sea. And that's not an exaggeration. At its widest during the rainy season, it swells up to 48 kilometers across. You can be standing on one bank, look out, and the other side is completely gone. It's just over the horizon. And that immense scale, that's why it is the only major river in the world that has 0 bridges crossing its main span. It's just too big.
But that massive size also sparks one of the greatest rivalries in all of geography. See, for decades, we've all been taught that the Nile is the world's longest river. But you know what? New discoveries are suggesting that the Amazon is getting ready to steal that crown. So here's the heart of the debate, laid out right here. For years, the official numbers put the Nile on top at around 6,650 kilometers. But recently, thanks to satellite data, explorers have tracked the Amazon back to a new, much more distant source high up in the Andes. And that recalculation, it pushes its total length to nearly 7,000 kilometers, which would make it the undisputed champion. But, while that whole debate over length rages on, there is absolutely no question about which river is the most powerful. I mean, the Amazon's water volume is just on another level. It doesn't just dwarf the Nile. Get this. It carries more water than the next 7 largest rivers in the world combined. It's not even a fair fight. The Amazon's complexity isn't just about its raw power, though. It's about its identity. This thing isn't just one single river. It's more like a collection of rivers, changing its name and even its color as it carves its path clear across a continent. Believe it or not, it doesn't even start its life as the Amazon. Way up in the Andes Mountains, where it's born, it's called the Apurimac. Then, as it flows, it picks up different names from the different communities it passes through. It literally changes its identity at least 4 times before it finally reaches Brazil, where it gets the famous name we all know. And it's in Brazil where you can see one of nature's most bizarre and beautiful sights, the meeting of waters. This is where 2 massive tributaries come together, the Rio Negro, which is dark, almost like black coffee, and the main Amazon, which is muddy and sandy colored. But here's the thing, they don't mix. They meet, and then they just flow side by side, creating this perfect razor-sharp line in the water. Now, this isn't some kind of magic trick. It's pure science. The 2 rivers flow right next to each other for hundreds of kilometers, like 2 lanes of traffic on a highway, because their basic physical properties are completely different. They have different temperatures, they're flowing at different speeds, and they're carrying different amounts of sediment and minerals. They're just too different to mix. So, okay, we have a river that's the most powerful on Earth with an identity that literally shifts and changes. But the Amazon's absolute greatest secret? It isn't on the surface at all. It's hidden deep underground, a ghost that's been hiding in plain sight. For centuries, we've mapped the Amazon from above, charting every single twist and turn. But what if, all that time, we were only looking at half the picture? What if there's been an entirely separate, massive river flowing in total darkness right underneath it?
Well, in 2011, scientists finally confirmed it exists. They call it the Rio Hamza. And it's not a river of flowing water like we think of it, but this colossal flow of groundwater moving through porous rock, 4 kilometers beneath the Amazon. And its scale is almost impossible to imagine. At its widest, it's up to 8 times wider than the Amazon itself. But it moves at a glacial pace, a true ghost river, shadowing the giant above.
A hidden river is an absolutely incredible discovery. But the secrets of the Amazon aren't just geological. Turns out the basin also hides these lost worlds of both giant prehistoric beasts and, as we're just now finding out, shockingly advanced human civilizations. So, millions of years ago, right after the dinosaurs died out, the Amazon became the domain of a true monster, the Titanoboa. And I don't just mean a big snake. This was, by far, the largest snake the world has ever known. To really get a sense of its size, just look at this comparison. The Titanoboa could reach up to 15 meters in length. That's longer than a school bus, and it weighed over a ton. We know from fossils that this thing was so enormous it actually preyed on giant crocodiles. So just like we misunderstood the Amazon's geology, we also got its human history completely, utterly wrong. For centuries, the big assumption was that the jungle was just too harsh to support any large, complex society. Well, recent discoveries have proven that assumption to be one of the single biggest archaeological blunders in modern history. Using new laser scanning tech to basically peer right through the dense jungle canopy, archaeologists have uncovered something extraordinary: a huge, interconnected network of cities belonging to the Kasarabe culture. These people, who were thriving 1,000 years ago, were not simple hunter-gatherers. No way. They were master engineers. They built 22-meter-tall pyramids out of earth, engineered these complex canal systems for farming, and built raised highways that ran for kilometers in dead straight lines, connecting all their sprawling urban centers. So we started with a river, but we found so much more. In just the last few decades, our entire understanding of the Amazon has been completely flipped upside down by a hidden river and lost cities. It just proves that the greatest unknown territories on our planet might not be across the oceans, but hidden right under our feet. Which really leaves us with one profound question: what else is the Amazon waiting to reveal?